In this video, we will be talking about changes which are happening right now, today, July 1st, 2021, changes related to different regulations, new regulations for Amazon, for European VAT, value added tax. So if you're an Amazon seller, there are some things and action steps you had to take before this day, and there are some things you need to consider and some things you need to change in your processes in your company. And my guest today is Alex from SimplyVAT. Hello, Alex.
Hello, thanks so much for having me.
Alex will be answering your questions here live. This session is purely Q&A. There will be no presentation. So prepare your questions and type them in the box. And also, I wanted to mention that please subscribe to the YouTube channel of Orange Click. Click also the like button at any time whenever you find the information useful. Alex, could you please introduce yourself and introduce the company you are representing, and so that people know your expertise and how SimplyVAT can help them?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Alex Wyatt. I am the project manager at SimplyVAT, particularly handling any big changes coming up due to VAT legislation changes. So this was Brexit, helping all of our clients transition for Brexit and get their businesses ready. And now the EU VAT reform that's happening today, making sure our clients are prepared, understanding the VAT changes and getting them registered to the correct schemes that are available. So SimplyVAT is a international tax agent. We primarily help e-commerce businesses with their international VAT registrations and ongoing compliance. So if you need help with any VAT registrations, VAT filings, or any consultancy, if you have specific questions about your supply chain, that is where we can come in and help you on a daily basis.
All right. So first of all, why we are here? July 1st, 2021. I remember already half a year ago, a lot of people and companies like SimplyVAT were talking about this, something called one-stop shop, something like import one-stop shop. So Alex, could you give us like very short few minutes overview what's happening, what changes are happening today, and what sellers had to do before and what they will have to do from going on like from today?
Perfect. Yeah. So the EU VAT reform, the reason why we've been talking about it for so long is that it was supposed to happen on the 1st of January this year. However, it was delayed due to COVID. So the European tax authorities have actually moved it back to the 1st of July to help the tax authorities get up to speed. So what the new rules are encompassing, the first thing is they're getting rid of the EU distance selling thresholds. So the distance selling thresholds are those set thresholds, which you probably would have heard if you've heard me speak before, you would have heard me ramble on about them. And they are where you're selling cross-border in within Europe up until set thresholds, typically around 35,000 euros before you have to register in the inbound country where you're selling to, at which point you then VAT register once you cross over and start declaring the local VAT in that member state. They're completely scrapping this as of today. So if you crossed over a threshold up until yesterday and this year, you would have still had to comply. After today, they're completely getting rid of these distance selling thresholds and then replacing it with a new one, which I'll cover in a minute. A new rule is that their VAT is going to be due where the customers are located. So for all B2C supplies, VAT is going to be charged in the country of consumption of the goods. So this means that if you're selling through your own website or through a marketplace, you need to make sure that the prices you're setting on your website encompass any VAT rate depending on where the customer is buying from. So this is super relevant, say if you're selling on Amazon.de, a customer from Austria purchases on Amazon.de, but maybe you've only set your prices to for the 19% VAT rate that's happening in Germany. Well, if someone from Austria now buys from you off of Amazon.de, they're going to be charged the local rate in Austria, which is 21%. So if you are selling a very low margin product, then this could really eat into those profit margins for you. So it's important to make sure that you're reviewing those products to align with this new rule of the VAT being charged in the country of consumption. The next one is there's an introduction of an single EU-wide threshold for SMEs, and it's set at 10,000 euros. Now, the big caveat to this one is it's only for EU established businesses. So if you are a non-EU business, then you do not have any threshold to exceed, and you would have to charge VAT based on the country of consumption right from the get-go. If you are an EU business, you would have this 10,000 euro threshold, and this counts for all cross-border sales. So any cross-border sales going to another EU member state to private individuals, all of that would total up to 10,000, and then you'd have to VAT register either in each and every member state, or you can use the new one-stop shop scheme. So that brings me into the extension of the mini one-stop shop scheme that was brought into effect back in January 2015. And that was made specifically for electronic services. So any kind of downloads, SaaS services, you would have been using the mini one-stop shop. They're now extending that into what's called the one-stop shop, and there is going to be the union one-stop shop, which is going to cover physical goods being sold cross-border intra-EU. So this is quite exciting. It's a replacement or an alternative rather to having to register in each and every member state where your end customers are, and just filing it on a single quarterly OS return. So it's a huge simplification measure for a lot of businesses. Instead of reporting it in a local member state, you report it on this one-stop shop scheme. And then we move on to the treatment from the marketplaces. So marketplaces are actually going to have new responsibilities under the new EU VAT reform coming into effect today. They are going to start taking on the responsibility to collect and remit the VAT for sellers for specific transactions. So the first type of transaction is if you are a non-EU business selling goods from outside the EU directly to customers inside the EU with a consignment value of less than 150 euros. In this case, the marketplace is going to take on the responsibility for you, if that's a non-EU business and EU businesses, sorry. If you're a non-EU business holding stock in an EU country, the marketplace is actually going to take on all of your transactions across the EU sold on their marketplace. So that's going to be a huge simplification for you. However, you still need a local VAT registration in each of the countries where you're holding your stock. So don't be so quick to deregister in those EU countries where you're holding your inventory. And if you're an EU company holding your stock in the EU, the marketplace will not be responsible to collect the VAT on your behalf. So if you're an EU business, you still need to comply with the local VAT rules as you would have been doing now, plus the one-stop shop scheme. And finally, the last one is the introduction of the import one-stop shop scheme. And this one's a huge one. We've been getting lots of inquiries around it. And that's because it is going to help a lot of these non-EU businesses or goods, maybe drop shippers that are importing goods directly to customers from outside the EU, selling through their own website and with a consignment value of less than 150 euros. If that applies to you, then you'd want to make sure that you are registering for the import one-stop shop scheme. It's a monthly return where you're registering in one EU member state and then filing all of the local VAT that you're collecting at the point of sale on one single VAT return monthly basis and a single payment to the tax authorities, where they will split up the money collected amongst themselves. So another huge simplification, and hopefully something to help businesses get their goods into Europe, which has been a huge problem going after Brexit. So yeah, those are all the rules in a nutshell.
Yeah, cool. Thank you for this overview. So that means, like, if you are shopping on Amazon, let's say from Portugal, and you want to buy from Amazon Spain, all the prices must include 23% Portuguese VAT and not 21% Spanish. In the past, of course, those who were going over the distance selling threshold, they were charging 23%, but now they will have to charge always Portuguese VAT. But now I wonder, did you check yourself today, Amazon Marketplace, if they already implemented their page, or do you know if like it's on the seller side that they have to adjust the VAT, or it should be, I guess, automatic by Marketplace, right?
So the marketplace will be collecting the VAT automatically at the local rate, because obviously they'll be accounting for it at the point of sale. However, the seller, you're still listing your prices at the gross price, meaning inclusive of VAT. So it's up to you as the seller to make sure that you are setting the price with whatever sort of VAT rates that you want to account for. So that's still down to you. And so I would suggest going in, reviewing your prices, and making sure that if you have a lot of Portuguese buyers buying off of the Spanish site, that you kind of adapt your pricing to account for the extra VAT that you might be losing. And it's the same thing for, like I said, Germany or any other EU country like France, for example. If people are buying from Belgium, you'd want to make sure that those prices are ready to go, whichever country a buyer might buy from.
All right, so we have a lot of questions. Let's see. Importer of record. We are based in and VAT registered in the UK and Germany and have EORI. I don't know how to pronounce this. EORI for Germany. Can we be our own importer of record?
Yeah, absolutely. So if again, it would depend on kind of what a few different things, what platforms you're selling on. So if it's going through a marketplace and the consignment value is less than 150 euros, the marketplace is going to take on that responsibility. They have to take on that responsibility. So you would have to use the marketplace's import one-stop shop number on those parcels. For any of the consignments above 150 euros, it's going to be down to the seller to collect the VAT and remit that to the tax authorities, or to maybe import it as the goods are maybe under DAP Incoterms and making the customer the importer of record. So it depends on that consignment value and whether or not you're selling on the marketplace. If it's less than 150 euros, the marketplace is always going to collect the VAT. It's their responsibility now, and you would need to include their IOS number on those consignments being imported in. But anything above that, you can absolutely be the importer of record. And I highly suggest it, especially if you're VAT registered in Germany, then yes.
All right, we have another question. GJA is asking, I'm using VAT services on Amazon and not doing commercial fulfilled network to Europe. So basically they are not fulfilling themselves, only with FBA. Is there anything I need to do for now?
So if you're only selling on Amazon, then no, there's nothing else that you need to do. You're going to keep your local VAT registrations in each of the different EU countries, and you're going to continue to file as normal in each of those countries where you're holding your inventory. And what you're going to do is declare, or Amazon, if you're using VAT services on Amazon, they're going to declare any of your sales to the marketplace as exempt of VAT. So you still have to declare the sales that are being sold on the marketplace, but they're exempt of VAT, and it's kind of being seen as a B2B sale in that respect. But otherwise, if you're only selling on a marketplace, then you have nothing else in that respect that you would need to do as a non-EU business. And I'm saying this business as a non-EU business because I know who this is. But yeah, there's nothing else you need to do. If you're selling on your own website, you would potentially have some other obligations. And if you're an EU business, you would have to make sure that you're OS registering because the marketplace would not take that on the VAT responsibility for you. So yeah, keep that in mind.
And I forgot to mention that, of course, if you want to get help with VAT from SimplyVAT, visit their website, simplyvat.com. Mention Orange Click in this video so that they can help you with love. Or you will find the link below also in the description, which is a short link. And if you contact them using this link, they will know that you came from us. So it will be good to know that you're watching this content, and we can invite Alex again to answer the questions. And the questions are piling up. Let's see. Phil is saying that we sell textbooks nil VAT, but why are we being charged VAT in Germany?
Yeah, that's a great question. Each EU member state will have their own VAT rates for each individual product. So unfortunately, it's not across the board the same VAT rate in each and every country. So here in the UK, for textbooks and books, we have a 0 VAT rate. But the only other EU country that has a 0 rate is actually Ireland. So when you start looking at selling these products into the EU, you're still going to be charged with the local rates of VAT for those individual products when going into that individual country. And this is the same for maybe children's clothing as well. Here in the UK, it's 0 rated. In the EU, it won't be. So you really need to look at that in each specific EU member state, what those VAT rates are going to be, so that you can make sure that you include that in your price, because otherwise it's just going to come directly out of that price that you listed on the marketplace.
All right, next question by Jane Doe. I'm French, but I live in US. I want my family who still live in France to start selling in Europe. Maybe Amazon UK would be better than Amazon France. Well, it's not a question. Maybe. It's Alex is not the one to advise you about starting an Amazon business, right? Or you have any comments? Probably not, right?
I mean, I think it really, in terms of starting up an Amazon business, not really from a VAT perspective. I think for the most part, after Brexit, the UK government made marketplaces liable to collect VAT on behalf of sellers here in the UK as well. So yeah, I mean, either way, it's kind of an equal playing field now. Marketplaces would still have to collect the VAT if you're not located in that specific member state. So it really just depends on which market is probably best for your product. I wouldn't maybe look at it from a VAT perspective. I think that's the best place to start.
Okay, next question. Is it true that as a UK-based LTD, the limited company, and selling only in European Union, I hope, not United Arab Emirates, so European Union, and sending goods from UK, FBM, to the whole European Union will be handled by marketplace. So if VAT will be handled by marketplace, if they ship goods themselves from UK to Germany, to Spain?
So it will, as long as the consignment value is less than 150 euros. So when we talk about the consignment value, we talk about anything that is being shipped in one single parcel from one single seller to a single individual under the same transport contract. So keep that in mind, that if it's not per item that has to be less than 150 euros, it's per consignment, the whole entire parcel. And the consignment is actually calculated on the intrinsic value, which means it's excluding VAT, it's excluding shipping, excluding insurance costs. So when we really strip it back, it's really just the sale price of the goods that we are basing the consignment value on. Then anything less than 150 euros, the marketplace will take on that responsibility. But maybe you're selling high value goods or goods that are bundled together quite frequently. If they trip over that 150 euros, the marketplace is no longer going to be responsible for these transactions. And you, the seller, will have to decide how you get your goods into the EU. Are you making the customer the importer of record, paying the import duties and taxes, or are you, the seller, going to take that on their behalf?
Okay, you mentioned like the parcel, the package, and the total value of the order. So I think, let's say, I order 2 items which cost 100 euros or pounds each. And now, if I ship all together, it will be 200 pounds value. If I ship in 2 different packages, it will be less than 150 both packages. So if the order is 200 euros value, it will be now you are responsible. The seller is responsible, no matter how many packages they will ship.
Yeah, and typically, so when we look at the consignment value, you need to also, for each of these consignments that you're going to be sending in under 150 euros, you also need to attach a commercial invoice for each of these products. So when we're looking at attaching the invoice to it, the customs authorities will check that the actual price that you sold the goods for everything in that package is less than 150 euros. So when I get asked, oh, can I just split up all the orders and just ship them in so that they all go under the 150. Unfortunately, when you're attaching an invoice, the invoice is going to list out each and every item. So they have to actually be sold separately. So I've had some businesses maybe put a limit on the amount of items that they sell. So everything trips under 150 euros so that they can all go under the IOS scheme, for example. And in that case, it's absolutely fine. But yeah, it really just depends on your business and your items, the value of the goods that you're shipping in.
Okay, next one. Nitish Agarwal is asking, what is the difference between selling through Amazon Europe to Europe and selecting and not selecting Pan-EU option? If we select Pan-EU option, aren't we eligible to opt for our OSS, one-stop shop?
So the Pan-EU option is specifically looking at where your inventory is being held. So that could mean, or that means, you know, you're using Amazon's fulfillment centers in France, Germany, Spain, Italy, Czech Republic, and Poland. If you're using the Pan-EU, you need the local VAT registrations in each of those EU countries. So you're going to need to have a VAT registration in 6 countries. If you don't want to use the Pan-EU option, and you maybe just want to hold your stock in one EU country, say Germany, for example, and you're an EU company and you want to use the one-stop shop scheme, you could just hold your stock all in one EU country, distance sell under the OSS scheme. And what happens is that with the one-stop shop is any goods being sold cross-border to private individuals, that would all be covered under the one-stop shop scheme. And you would report that on a quarterly basis. You're going to be charging the local rate of VAT where your end customers are, and then paying that on a quarterly basis to the member state where you're registered for the one-stop shop. So if you're an EU business and say you're selecting Pan-EU or not selecting Pan-EU, I would still register for the one-stop shop scheme because that's going to cover you for the whole of your European sales. So that could mean if somebody from Romania purchases from you or Hungary, even if it's one transaction, you could, need that local VAT registration, or you use the one-stop shop scheme instead, which really simplifies your reporting for all of your VAT. So I would really recommend using the one-stop shop, whether or not you're holding your stock on Pan-EU or just in one EU country. But if you're using Pan-EU, make sure you're getting your local VAT registrations in each country where you're holding your stock.
So one-stop shop is not obligatory to use, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely not. So the one-stop shop is a completely optional scheme. And again, it's going to be relevant for EU sellers selling on marketplaces or any sales channel like their own website, or non-EU businesses selling on their own website with stock held within the EU. So it's really looking at any cross-border transactions going to private individuals within the EU. The alternative to the one-stop shop scheme is actually registering in each and every country where you have customers. So this could mean up to 27 local VAT registrations that you'd have to register and manage each of the filings and so on. So the one-stop shop scheme is obviously a huge simplification compared to VAT registering in 27 different member states potentially, or maybe you just have one key market that's really doing really well for your products. Maybe you just want to register it locally in that one member state, and that's absolutely fine as well. You don't have to register for the one-stop shop scheme if you are VAT registered in each country where your customers are based.
Good. So we see a lot of questions pouring in. I wanted to mention again, if you like this content, click the like button below so that our message reach more people, more Amazon sellers. And also, if you want to get notifications for new videos we publish on Orange Click channel, click the subscribe button below. So next question is from JA. If we are using Amazon VAT services, how do we reclaim the import EU VAT when we are sending goods into Amazon FBA from UK to Europe?
It's a great question, and I have no idea because I'm not Amazon's VAT services. Yeah, you'd have to ask them directly on how to do this. If you were to do it through SimplyVAT, I can definitely help you in that case. And all you'd have to do is send your SAD documents to ourselves, and then we can reclaim that for you on your next VAT return in the local country where you've imported into. But through Amazon directly, I'm not sure. You'd have to contact them. But yeah, if you want help in the future, you can always come to us.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to show again the short link. You will find it below in the description as well. Or if you want to remember to type in yourself, it's simplyvat.com and mention Orange Click so they know where you're coming from and that you watch this video. So next question is from Mehdi. We are UK business. We understand that we still need annual VAT registration in each country where our stock is held with FBA. But do we need to continue using a company like SimplyVAT or ask for paying VAT to each member state, or is it all of this money now collected by Amazon and paid by Amazon?
Yeah, this is a great question, and it's one that we've got asked quite a lot recently, obviously with all the changes coming into effect. So because you're holding your stock in an EU country, you still need those local VAT registrations. And the reason for this and what you're going to include on the local VAT return is you're going to include any reclaims of the import VAT or input VAT. So any of the purchases you're making within the EU, that's all going to be reclaimed on the local VAT return. You also have to declare all of the sales that you're making on a marketplace on your local VAT return. They're going to be exempt of VAT, but they need to make sure that they're being declared as a sale made to a marketplace. The marketplaces are also not going to take on the responsibility for any B2B transactions. So if you're signed up to the Amazon business where businesses are purchasing from you or a business purchases from you, you still need to declare those transactions on your local VAT return and on a local EC sales list. And finally, if you are holding your stock in multiple EU member states, maybe through the Pan-EU program, and you are moving your goods intra-EU in between the different fulfillment centers, you have to declare the movement of taxable supply going in between the different EU countries. So you still have to continue to file the EC sales list and declare these movement of taxable supply locally. So all of these things still need to go on as normal. The only main difference is instead of including the VAT on the VAT return, we're now just making exempt of VAT. We still have to calculate it, but just exempt of VAT. And then on top of that, still record all of these other transactions that are happening and reclaims. So it's up to you on whether or not you have the capacity to file this yourself or can handle it yourself. Otherwise, yeah, it might still be relevant to continue to use the service, whether it's ourselves or somebody else that's filing it for you.
Next question comes from Ashok. He says, we are based in UK. If we sell products over 150 euros of value to customers in Europe, can we use import one-stop shop? If not, how do we account for this on UK VAT return?
It's a great question. So for those products that are going above 150 euros, they cannot go on the import one-stop shop scheme. The import one-stop shop scheme is only for those low value goods less than 150 euros. So anything above there, you're actually not even going to include it on your UK VAT return. Well, you will, but you're not going to count for VAT. So how you're going to do it, anything that's leaving the UK is going to be treated as an export of goods. Just like post-Brexit, anything that has been going into the EU since the 1st of January, you would have recorded these as an export, and exports are zero rated for VAT purposes on your UK VAT return. So here in the UK, you're going to continue to declare your goods exempted or zero rated as an export of goods. And then we're really looking at how the goods are actually getting cleared through customs for those high value goods. So somebody's going to have to pay the import VAT, because import VAT is now going to be charged for those high value goods. So you're going to have to choose, is it going to be the customer paying for the import VAT and duties, or is that going to be you? And you may have a VAT obligation off the back of that, depending on how you want to import your goods. So that's going to be the next question, is choosing who wants to be the importer of record.
I noticed that a lot of people are confused because it says one-stop shop. So you think like, oh, now everything is like, I don't need much of VAT registrations, but you still need to register if you store goods in the countries. And this is the question from Brandon. He says, so you're saying if you store inventory in a country, you're still required to be VAT registered in that country, right? From UK business perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So when the European Commission set up the one-stop shop, they weren't really thinking about, say, Amazon specifically. They weren't really thinking about the Amazon Pan-EU network that has, where you can hold your stock in 6 different member states. They were really looking at it from an SME perspective, where typically businesses would hold stock in maybe one EU member state, sell cross-border, and this would cover all of their transactions. So so that's why they set it up that way. So I can completely understand that for a lot of businesses, it is a shock that you still have to keep these local registrations, but it's there because you still have to reclaim your import VAT. And the one-stop shop is really only for remitting your VAT and paying it over to the tax authorities. It's not for reclaims, and it's only for private individual sales. So it's not anything that covers B2B transactions. So they're really looking at it for these specific e-commerce sellers that are selling cross-border within the EU. So to answer your question, Brandon, yes, you still have to be VAT registered in the country where you're holding your inventory, in whichever country that is across the EU. You've still created a taxable supply in that country, and you still must be VAT registered locally.
We have a question about practical steps needed to set up for import one-stop shop. Is the platform ready to see, so we know how to submit monthly information? I want to give a comment that this platform should be implemented by each European country, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's not an EU-wide. It's not just set up from the EU Commission, for example. Each EU member state has their own iOS platform, one-stop shop platform, the union side, and the non-union one-stop shop platform, which is going to cover digital services. So you would have to register with the member state directly. Now, there's a few qualifications of where you'd want to get registered. For the import one-stop shop scheme, if you're an EU business, you will have to register for iOS in the member state that you are established in. So you have to go directly to your tax authorities and register for iOS there. If you're a non-EU business, you must use an EU-based intermediary in order to register for the import one-stop shop. And this is a huge kind of thing for a lot of businesses that are based outside the EU. They didn't know about this. They've tried to register directly. You must have an EU intermediary that has a license to act on your behalf with the tax authorities. So, for example, we have an EU subsidiary that we are putting all of our iOS applications through in Ireland. Now, for the one-stop shop scheme, if you're registering for that, again, if you're EU-based, you're going to want to register in the member state where you're established. And if you're non-EU-based, you're going to have to register in the member state where you're holding your stock. And if you're holding stock in multiple EU countries, then you can choose which one works for you. And you'd only need to register for one. So keep that in mind when looking to register for these different schemes.
Okay, we have a lot of questions. The next one is, what would be the difference in drop shipping from China to Europe via Shopify? How should the VAT look like comparing to UK-based company and EU-based company on VAT one-stop shop? What would be more tax-friendly?
Good question. So Shopify is actually not considered an electronic interface. They have not considered themselves one, meaning it's going to all be the seller's responsibility when you're selling through your own website to collect the VAT at the point of sale or at the point of importation, depending on which kind of scheme you're using and the value of the goods. So if you're drop shipping from China, whether or not you're a UK business or an EU business, you could say if you are selling low value goods, less than 150 euros, you could either one can register for the IOS scheme and you're going to collect the VAT at the point of sale. And then you're going to pay that over on a monthly basis to the tax authority where you are IOS registered. The one-stop shop scheme wouldn't really be applicable for your business if you were not holding stock in an EU country because the one-stop shop scheme is for any intra-EU cross-border sales. If your goods were high value, that's when you have to start thinking about who's going to be the importer of record? Are you going to make the customer the importer of record? Are you going to be the importer of record? Are you importing your goods directly into the country where your customers are or indirectly? And that all has an effect on how you get your goods to the customer and how the VAT is going to be charged.
And you mentioned that Shopify is not a marketplace, it's just like your own website. And what about eBay? Is it marketplace?
eBay is considered a marketplace. So if you're selling on eBay, then eBay is going to take on those transactions, much like I just mentioned earlier for Amazon, where either you're holding your stock in the EU and you're a non-EU business selling to consumers, or for those low value goods by both EU and non-EU businesses, eBay will take on the responsibility for that as well. So yes.
And another question. So these changes on July 1st are kind of applicable to European Union new regulations. Did anything changed in UK regulations because now they are not part of European Union? Like, is there anything new there, or it's nothing changed in UK?
So the main changes actually happened back in the 1st of January when the UK left the EU. And that's where we would have saw that marketplaces actually started to take on the responsibility for non-UK sellers. If you were selling through a marketplace, the marketplace was collecting UK VAT on your goods. Or if you were drop shipping, say from China, going to a UK customer, the marketplace was again going to be taking on the VAT liability for you as a seller. So that is really closely following what's happening here in the EU starting today. So yeah, they're all very similar. But it's something to consider that, yeah, if you were selling in the UK or still are selling in the UK, the marketplace would be responsible to collect the VAT on those specific transactions. The main kind of caveat I would say would probably be Northern Ireland, because Northern Ireland is technically part of the EU for VAT purposes, even though it's still part of the UK. It's within the EU VAT block. So that does complicate things. However, Northern Ireland are going to be setting up their own one-stop shop. It's not available as of yet, but they will be considered a part of the one-stop shop scheme, and you would be filing any sales to Northern Ireland on your local one-stop shop returns or IOS returns alike.
Great. Next question is from John. He's asking, so to confirm, we are UK business selling in Amazon Germany, France, and so on. We have VAT numbers in all European countries. We're shipping stock to some Amazon European warehouses, so they are storing in some like Germany and France. Do we still need an one-stop shop in Europe? A one-stop shop VAT number. So there is no such thing one-stop shop VAT number. It's
No,
not
yeah.
related, right?
So the one-stop shop number is it's going to be a number, but it's going to be assigned from an EU member state. But for your specific case here, we can either look at, so you're saying you're VAT registered in every single EU member state. So that's great. You're probably filing lots of VAT returns, paying lots of different member states in multiple different currencies. So you can continue to do that. That's not a problem. Alternatively, you can deregister in all of the countries where you're not holding stock, and you can use the one-stop shop scheme, maybe from either Germany or France where you're holding your stock. You can register through one of those schemes, and any of your cross-border transactions, B2C, would all go under that one-stop shop scheme if you were selling maybe through your own website. If you're only selling on Amazon, you could potentially deregister in all of those other member states where you are not holding your stock at all. And you just need the German and French registration where you're holding your inventory. Because you're a UK business, Amazon is going to be taking on the responsibility to collect that VAT. So really, for you, if you're only selling on Amazon, you would only need the German and French registrations. You can deregister in all the other EU member states. Maybe you crossed over the distance selling thresholds. Well, they're abolished now, so you can get rid of those VAT numbers.
Perfect. Another question from Spiro. So I can ship my products to Netherlands, Amazon warehouse, and be FBA there, but can I also ship to all European Union countries as well? I'm not sure. Does he mean that if he can sell from Netherlands warehouse to other customers? If you're asking about this, I want to say one thing, that if you shop on Amazon Netherlands, they don't really allow to ship to any other country, just Netherlands. I tried myself once. I saw a cheaper thing on Dutch website, and they didn't allow me to put any other European country. So I'm not sure what he's exactly asking. Maybe you, Alex, understood?
Yeah, again, from a VAT perspective, I didn't know that, Augustus, so that's quite interesting. But from a VAT point of view, you can absolutely, once you're holding your products in Netherlands, you're going to be Dutch VAT registered in the Netherlands because you're holding your stock there, and then you can hopefully sell cross-border. From a VAT point of view, it shouldn't be a problem. It's maybe an Amazon point of view problem if they aren't allowing businesses to sell cross-border. So something to ask Amazon if that is true. From what Augustus said.
Great. So next one from Nitish. If US seller is storing inventory in Germany and selling Germany to Germany via Amazon, then will Amazon record this under domestic return or one-stop shop return?
That would, technically any of the domestic sales don't go on a local registration. So, this would really be Amazon's problem. You wouldn't have to worry about this, Nitish. But say if you were selling through your own website and you were holding stock in Germany, selling to a German customer, and had an OS registration in Germany, where would you declare that transaction? Well, you would declare that on the domestic return. You wouldn't have to declare that on the OS return. The OS return is only for cross-border sales to private individuals. So any domestic things, so if you're holding your stock in an EU country, any of those domestic transactions would also go on the local VAT return. So that's another reason why you'd want to keep your local VAT registrations as well. But Amazon, that would be down to them for any of their sales that happen where they record that, and it would probably go on their domestic return.
Next question again from Nitish. Is sharing import one-stop shop number with posting company unsafe? And if we import, does Amazon also assist us with custom duties by charging some extra fees?
Okay, so this is it's a good question. So the iOS number, so Amazon and any marketplace like eBay, they would have released their specific iOS number to be put on the parcels. So what happens essentially with the iOS scheme is that you're given a iOS number as the deemed supplier. So if you're selling through a marketplace, the marketplace is considered the deemed supplier for those low value goods. And what you're going to do is you're going to get the marketplace's iOS number and put that on your parcels. When the goods are cleared through customs, what happens is the customs authorities will look at the documentation and they will read the iOS number and assign that specific parcel coming through customs to the iOS number that's listed on the customs documents. Then a month later, when you go to file the VAT return, or Amazon will file the VAT return, and they will say, these are all the transactions that happened on Amazon, and that we are collecting and reporting to the tax authorities. The tax authorities will look on their side, and they're going to see every single parcel that was shipped through customs with their iOS numbers, and they're going to reconcile the goods coming through customs and make sure that they are accounting for each of the transactions going through Amazon with the iOS number. So this is going to be really similarly linked with if you're selling through multiple marketplaces or sales channels, even your own website, and you have your own iOS number, you're going to want to make sure that your ERP system or your courier is getting the right iOS number on the right parcels, because you're going to want to use your own individual iOS number for your own website sales, an eBay iOS number for your eBay sales, an Amazon one for the Amazon sales. So you really need to make sure that they are correct going through customs. So that's a really good question. In terms of the customs duties, the reason why they set the low value amount at 150 euros is because that's also the customs duties threshold. So anything below 150 euros, it is exempt of custom duties. And if you have an iOS number, it will be exempt of import VAT because you're going to be collecting it at the point of sale. Anything above 150 euros, you're going to have to charge, or you're going to get charged duties and VAT upon importing your goods and clearing them through customs. So keep that in mind for those high value goods that you're importing in, or the high value consignments that are going through customs.
Next question is from Sergei. He has two questions. So the first one is, if we have deactivated all EU marketplaces listings and warehouses in June, and we hold inventory and sell only in UK, should we even bother about one-stop shop?
Not necessarily. So if you're only selling on marketplaces across the EU and you're not listing anything, you're not listing anything on the EU, you don't need to worry about it. If you're not selling in the EU, I wouldn't worry about it. If you're selling on your own website, and even though you've deactivated all the marketplace side, and you're holding all your inventory in the UK, then maybe you want to register for the import one-stop shop scheme for those low value goods. But if you're only selling in the UK, holding your stock in the UK, I wouldn't even worry about having to register for iOS, anything like that. None of that would really apply to you as a business if you're not trading in the EU.
But they still did some sales between January and June. It doesn't matter. Like they were selling in Europe until June. It's still, because one-stop shop is from July, so they shouldn't care at all.
Yeah, but so if you so anything from January to June would have gone through the normal EU local VAT registration. So you should have been locally VAT registered in each country where you were holding your inventory, and you should have been declaring any of those transactions made through. It would have still been your responsibility. So I'd make sure that you are, you squared up with your VAT obligations. But anything post June, you wouldn't, post July really you wouldn't have to worry about if you're no longer selling anything as of today. There's no transactions going through your inventories out of the EU. Then I wouldn't worry about the one-stop shop scheme. But you would have had to comply from January to June with the local EU VAT rules.
Another question from Sergey is today I received an email from Amazon that we are required to provide Austrian VAT number or proof that we are using one-stop shop. What could be the reasons for this email, in your opinion? It's a European company.
Oh, if you're a European company, that's a different story. Because as a European company, you the marketplace is not taking on the liability for your business. So what that means is essentially you have to be ready to collect the VAT in each and every member state. Now, you just said that you deactivated all of your listings in the EU and you've removed all your goods and you're not planning to sell into the EU at all. Then if you're an Austrian business, you may just have to prove that you have an Austrian VAT registration, but otherwise, I don't see a reason for having the AUS registration at all if you're not selling in the EU as an EU business. If you're only selling in the UK, you'd want a local UK VAT registration and then declare the exemptive VAT sales to the marketplace from there. But in this case, I'm not sure otherwise, other than the fact that maybe Amazon's just requiring your local VAT number, or that maybe you should just shut down your EU account if possible, so that they don't require this.
It's possible maybe it's another company, maybe it's asking for a different setup. Maybe one company, let's say it's a different company and they are still selling. And if they received this letter, is it something about distance selling thresholds or?
Well, the distance selling thresholds are no longer applicable. So I can't see why, like the only reason why, I know the Austrian tax authorities have been starting to crack down on specifically marketplace sellers for the past year now. So if you were selling cross-border, Amazon would have probably messaged you about selling into Austria if you needed a local VAT registration, if they picked up on the fact that maybe you crossed over the distance selling threshold. The main reason maybe Austria is still cracking down on Amazon and saying that if you're going to continue to sell in the EU on Amazon, you need to provide either the Austrian VAT registration or a one-stop shop registration to actually declare those transactions to Austrian customers somewhere. So the Austrian tax authorities are probably just clamping down on Amazon to say, you better make sure that you get each seller's Austrian VAT registration or the one-stop shop registration, so we know that all the transactions are going to be accounted for to Austrian customers. So I think that's probably the reason why you may have received this. But again, if you're not planning to sell in Europe, then this shouldn't apply to you. But if you do want to continue to sell to Europe, then you would want to get either the Austrian registration or the AUS registration.
Phil wants to know how long does it take to get VAT registered in France, Spain, and Italy?
So for the local VAT registrations, it can really depend. So Spain and Italy, they would probably be a little bit shorter, probably about 4 to 8 weeks from when we post it off to the tax authorities. France is much longer. It's taking about 12 weeks to process the VAT registrations with the tax authorities. It's completely out of our hands. As soon as we post everything off to the tax authorities, it takes that amount of time to process these registrations. For the AUS returns, the AUS numbers, getting those through much quicker, but you have to have a local registration first before you get that AUS registration in place. So you'd want to make sure that you get those local registrations in quick in that respect.
PowerCan wants to know how to avoid to be double charge VAT when shipping to European customer, because Amazon doesn't provide import one-stop shop or one-stop shop number to be entered into the shipment documents.
So Amazon have definitely provided their numbers in Seller Central. I can potentially send Augustus the link, and then he can send that out to everyone of where you can find it in Seller Central. So if your goods are low value, then you would be able to access this number. It is accessible to all sellers on the marketplace. The one-stop shop number you wouldn't need to put on any parcel. So for any intra-EU sales, Amazon won't be giving their one-stop shop number because it doesn't need to go on the parcels going across border within the EU. It's really just for reporting purposes. But that iOS number, Amazon 100% will give that out to you, and it's in their Seller Central. And I can find that link for you. I've seen all their numbers as of yesterday or today. So yeah, I can get that information for you if needed.
One more question from Nitish. Now that Europe is moving towards standard filings, for example, SAF-T or tax digital. Okay, there is, I think, continuation of this question. Can you explain, Alex, what is SAF-T and tax digital? Do you understand?
Yeah, so the tax authorities, so a lot of the tax regulations and filings, they've really been outdated up to this point, which is why a lot of the tax authorities, including across the EU, Canada, United States, Australia, New Zealand, across the globe, they have really been trying to modernize tax reporting with, the rise in cross-border sales, the rise in digital commerce and e-commerce. So that is why they are moving towards all of these electronic invoices. You'll start to see pop up a lot more as. For example, in Portugal, it came into effect today. You'll see SAF-T coming up in Poland right now, but they're also looking to do something similar in Norway and Italy, for example. So it really just depends on the specific tax authority. But what the tax authorities are trying to do is modernize how they're reporting to tackle any VAT fraud. They'll want to be able to see all of these transactions coming through. The SAF-T provides a lot more detail of the transactions that are happening to the customers in that local member state or in that country. And it really just, for auditing purposes, allows the tax authorities to see a lot more detail through this information that's supplied on a monthly basis. And it's just a lot quicker as well. Than are the standard ways of filing. A lot of the e-invoicing, for example, that's been coming up. It's so that we can get the invoicing information a lot quicker digitally, and it's not going through that standard kind of paper route that everything has been going in the past 40 years, for example. So I don't know if it really helps answer the question.
That was my question. What does it mean? And now let's see what the viewer is asking. So that now European is moving towards the standard filings and digital links. Does that mean that in the future, if US sellers sell via Amazon Marketplace, will also be, okay, if the US seller is selling via Amazon, will Marketplace also be submitting SAF-T and digital links? So basically, he's asking to forecast the future, how it will be. And
you know what? I think it depends again on the country that this marketplace is registered in. Potentially, yes. If you're right now, you'd have to register or file SAF-T in Poland, for example, whether or not you're a marketplace or a seller. So I think 100% you would have to make sure that that you would have to comply with these local regulations. It's not really kind of not down to me, but I know the tax authorities are working towards these having more transparency on the transactions that are happening on these digital interfaces, and that's kind of the way they are going. I can't tell you exactly which countries off the top of my head are going to be next, but yes, 100% it will be coming in some respect, one way or another.
Great. I think it's probably the last question, unless someone pops up in the last minute. So if I am a German seller and selling locally, then will the usual threshold limit of 100,000 still be applicable to me for my domestic sale? or the threshold of 10,000 euros be applicable for me. So probably the person is 1,000K was about registering or not for VAT, right? Like if you were a German company selling into Germany, you didn't need to register for VAT unless you sell more than 100,000?
So the 100,000 threshold was for distance selling into Germany. So if you were holding your stock in France, for example, distance selling into Germany, this was not for German to German sales. If you're a German company selling locally to a German customer, I'm pretty sure the local threshold in Germany, and don't quote me on this, I think it's around 12,500 euros a year. So it's a lot smaller to get locally VAT registered in Germany. And that's if I remember it correctly. But the 100,000 euros is not really for German businesses. It would rather be for distance selling into Germany if you were holding stock from outside of Germany. Now, this 10,000 euros is a completely new threshold. So say you're a German seller holding your goods in Germany, selling to private individuals in other EU member states, then you would be able to use this 10,000 euro threshold. And what you would do is instead of charging the local rate of VAT where the end customer is, you would be actually charging the German rate of VAT up until this 10,000 euro threshold was met, at which point then you would register onto the one-stop shop scheme, or alternatively in each and every single member state, and then locally VAT register and start declaring the local rate of VAT on those reports, whichever one you kind of choose. So that's what the new 10,000 euro threshold is for. But for you as a German seller holding stock in Germany, selling from Germany, you would have your own local threshold. And like I said, I think it's around 12,500. In the UK here for UK businesses, it's 85,000. So it really differs. But the 100,000 was only for distance sales going into Germany, typically not by German businesses.
Great. I don't see any more questions. So thank you very much, Alex. One more time, if you want SimplyVAT to help you with your VAT compliance in European countries and probably beyond, visit SimplyVAT, mention Orange Click and this video, or just click the link below this video and contact them. And Alex, could you give us an overview one more time what exactly SimplyVAT can do for Amazon sellers?
Yep. So if you need any local VAT registrations because you're holding stock, local compliance, we can handle the ongoing VAT returns and EC sales lists, reclaims of import VAT, as well as any of these new schemes. So if you're selling maybe through your own website, or you're an EU seller that needs to locally get these one-stop shop registrations, we can help with the one-stop shop registration along with the import one-stop shop registrations and ongoing filings. So yeah, get in contact if you need any help.
Yeah, actually, we have one more last minute question. Tony is saying, so European company sells in US, say on Amazon, and someone from Europe buys our products. So European company sells on US, and then European person buys from US website, Amazon Global Selling Service. What happens with VAT? Does Amazon collect it? Do we need one-stop shop?
So Amazon should collect this for the goods being sold to the EU. It's a good question.
I can imagine that the goods are stored in US FBA, so the goods are in US.
Yeah, Amazon still should be collecting these transactions because they would have transparency on what's going into the EU. Now, this would be technically an import. So as long as the goods were being imported with the consignment value less than 150 euros, Amazon would still have that responsibility for the goods going back into the EU or going from the US into the EU. So Amazon would still collect that whether or not they buy it on US or whatever. If the goods were high value, again, Amazon wouldn't take on this responsibility. So in that case, you would have to look after that yourself or get the customer to pay that import VAT and duties on your behalf.
All right, cool. Thanks. So yeah, we get appreciation to messages. Thanks, Alex. Thank you, Alex and Augustus, thanks so much. And Tony, with the last question, he says yes for something. Cool. So yeah, thank you very much, everyone. If you like this content, don't forget to click the like button somewhere below this video. Also, click the subscribe button if you want to get notified for new videos. Thank you very much, Alex. I hope to see you in the future and
in person at one of your events.
Yeah, hopefully. Thanks a lot. And if you want to know more about, to hear more about Amazon VAT compliance in Europe, you can watch this video where we recorded with Alex a few months ago. And I'm sure there will be more videos with SimplyVAT in the future. And thank you very much for watching this video.